Breaking news, Cowboy Nation. Our star pass rusher, Micah Parsons, has, from what is being reported, requested a trade out of Dallas. Now, I don't know how accurate that is. Now, it sounds like that Micah's actually said it himself, but is this just a negotiation tactic for Jerry Jones to give in to paying him? I don't know. I do think in the back of my mind, I'm still skeptical about this whole thing. And I do believe Jerry Jones, behind the scenes, is wanting this to keep the Cowboys' name in the media's mouths. And Micah's wanting this just to stir up controversy, get people talking about the Cowboys. Hey, making this video, so obviously it's working. Yeah, man. If this is not just a media negotiation thing for Micah and his, well, actually it is for Micah and his agent. And if Jerry Jones is not just doing this to keep the Cowboys' names in people's mouths, I'm not surprised. If this is true, I'm not surprised, man. I'm not surprised at all. My opinions on Micah Parsons, I think he's an elite pass rusher. I think he is a top 5 pass rusher in the entire NFL. I think he deserves a top five contract at his position. But if behind the scenes he's pulling a Dak Prescott, which it sounds like he's doing, he's saying, oh, I'm willing to take a team-friendly deal. And behind the scenes he's actually demanding to be the highest paid like Dak Prescott did, then trade him. Get some picks out of him. Because as much as I love Micah Parsons, he's not worth more than $40 million a year. Now, he has more of a case of being worth $40 million than Dak does. And Fan Nation, Cowboys Nation, this just goes to show you Dak Prescott's contract has officially started to hurt the Dallas Cowboys. Because I remember watching Facts Only Sports with Big Country last year, and he was talking about how Jerry Jones had to pay 3 players with contracts coming up. There was CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons, and Dak. And he said that out of 3 of them, that the Cowboys were probably only going to be able to keep 2. Well, 2 of those players have already been signed. And one of them is CeeDee Lamb. The other one is Dak, which puts Micah as the odd man out. Now, for me, I would have paid CeeDee Lamb and Micah, and I would have let Dak walk because Dak's not actually elite at his position. He's an average quarterback making elite money. But Jerry Jones was an idiot, and he went out there and paid Dak $60 million when he should have moved on from him. He should have let Dak play out his contract this year, and he would have only had to pay $40 million. He could have drafted a quarterback. He could have drafted Shedeur Sanders and made him the starter in the future. But he didn't do that. He went out there and he paid Dak Prescott. So now Micah's the odd man out. And it's not 100% fair because Micah Parsons does deserve to be paid, in my opinion, $35 to $38 million a year. He's a top 5 pass rusher. But when it comes to his run defense, the reason why I don't think he should get more than $40 million is because his run defense is honestly not good. His run defense is borderline bad. And while he's a good pass rusher, or an elite pass rusher, he's not a great run defender. He's not very good at it. So top 5 money, yes. Highest paid, more than $40 million? Absolutely not. Again, he has more of a case than Dak, but still. But it just goes to show, man, Dak Prescott's contract is hurting the team when an average player that really did not deserve to get paid anywhere close is taking up 30% of your salary cap space and makes it hard to go out there and play and pay your other great players. Micah Parsons is one of them. So this goes to show, man, we really made a mistake by overpaying Dak. We made a huge mistake. And, if this is true, I do actually give Jerry Jones some credit because Jerry Jones and, the Joneses have gone out there and they've overpaid players multiple times throughout the years, and those players haven't shown up and done what they paid him to do. Who's to say, even though Micah's a great player, who's to say he's not going to do the same thing? Because every time you paid a player outside of maybe CeeDee Lamb, they end up not living up to their contract. They either end up getting hurt, or if they're not hurt, they don't live up to their contract. Look at Ezekiel Elliott. Look at Dak Prescott, who I just talked about. He didn't live up to his first contract, and he's certainly not going to live up to his second contract. Even though I love Dez didn't live up to his contract back in the day. Tyron Smith did not live up to his contract. DeMarcus Lawrence did not live up to his contract. I can go on and on and on about all the players Jerry Jones has paid over the years, big money, that have not lived up to their contract. Hell, even Tony Romo, a player that I love, he got hurt. He didn't live up to his contract. So, and sorry for cursing, didn't mean to do that, slipped out. But you can't pay everybody. And the time has come where Jerry Jones and the Cowboys are going to have to let certain players go, Micah Parsons being one of them, because they're demanding too much. Now, if I'm the Cowboys and he's requested to trade, here's what I would do. I would trade for another top 5, top 10 defensive end. Max Crosby is the first name that comes to mind from the Raiders. That's better in run defense than Micah. While they may not give you a same advantage in the pass rush, they'll still give you a similar advantage, and they give you a much better run defensive option. I would trade for somebody like that's already done it. I would also try and get a one-tech defensive tackle, a dominant one-tech, because one-tech is a position the Dallas Cowboys are very weak at right now, and they need a dominant one-tech. They do. I would maybe say corner, actually, as well, because we're pretty thin at corner. That would be a good trade. On top of getting another premier pass rusher and good run defender, top 10 run defender at defensive end, I would also try and get some draft picks. I'd get at least one first and a second, maybe more. Get as much out of him as you can if this is really the case, if this is not just a psyop to get the Cowboys talked about in the media. That's what I would do. Again, I want to pay Micah. I hope Micah really should get somewhere between 35 to 38 mil. He should be in the top 5 highest paid defensive end, but he shouldn't be number 1 because his run defense is a liability. But if this is true and you're going to trade him for another premier defensive end that's better in run defense than him, like a Max Crosby, try and also get a one-tech defensive tackle that's dominant, that's very good at stopping the run if you can. Get 1 or 2 first-round picks, maybe a second out of it, and possibly a corner. That's what I would do. Think that'd be a good thing. Go to the Raiders. We could trade for him, and we could trade for a couple picks. Help get this team rolling. But yeah, man, Dak Prescott, his contract is starting to hurt the team. Micah's the first one that's probably not, that could possibly, be affected by it. But, yeah, if Micah's demanding to be the highest paid, too much money, then he's pulling a Dak Prescott that shows that he's, could be being a bit hypocritical. Dak came out last year and said, oh, it's not about the money. It's never been about the money, and then proceeds to demand to be the highest paid. If Micah came out and said he'd take a team-friendly deal, meanwhile, behind the scenes, he's demanding to be the highest paid, which I get, because Micah Parsons is a top 5 pass rusher. But if he's pulling a Dak Prescott, Jerry Jones needs to just do what he's doing now, from what it seems like, if this is not all facade, put his foot in the ground and just say, yeah, we're not going to overpay these players anymore. And we just need to trade them and stop giving in to their demands. So, unfortunate that this could be the start, but honestly, I'm not going to freak out too much about it, Fan Nation, Cowboys Nation, because I don't know if I'm fully convinced that this is actually going to happen. I'm not fully convinced, but this is big news. Goes to show, man, Dak Prescott's contract, it's affecting us. It's affecting the Cowboys. Players like Micah Parsons that deserve to get paid aren't going to be able to get paid here because an average player that doesn't do nothing for us getting paid 30% of the salary cap. So we'll see how this plays out, Fan Nation, Cowboys Nation. I do really like Micah Parsons. He is one of my favorite players on the team. I do want him to stay in Dallas, but man, again, even though he's a top 5 pass rusher, he's not great in run defense, and for that reason, he should not be paid more than $40 million a year. He shouldn't. He should be somewhere between 35 to 38. Top 5, yes. Highest paid, no. So, we'll see what happens. I'm not 100% convinced that Jerry's actually going to trade him. I'll believe it when I see it. I'll believe it when I see it. That's all I got to say. Catch y'all later. Peace.